Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. That is almost 5 years of Torah every single day, of so much friendship and love and kindness. Thank you, Penny. It's broadcast 1218. Susie and Kim, it's good to see you. Lisa, welcome. Hope that everyone is doing okay. Angela and Carl, Boker Tov. Jonathan, Ron, and Barry, Adele, good to see you. Let's take a breath to say good morning to everybody, and then let's learn a little bit of Torah. Debbie and Lydia, Linda, good to see you. Linda, hopeful is the word of the day. Amen. Chana, missed you too. Missed yesterday. It was your birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Chana. So nice to share that with you and your last weekend in the States as you launch the next stage of your life in Medinat Yisrael as you make Aliyah. Patricia, it's good to see you. Bensi, welcome. Hi, Sherry. Linda and Catherine, Helen, Deborah, and Linda, Debbie, good to see you. Natalia and Barbara, Jack and Deborah. Carl, yes, we are praying for everyone affected by the fires. Minna and Siona. Siona, you had lab tests yesterday, so you missed us. Please God, the results should come back and everything should be better than anyone could expect. Bensi, you're safe in LA. Thank God. Davening for you. Natalie and Joyce, good morning. Diane. All right, a lot of loving people are saying hello. I'm sorry I can't keep up with everyone. But Stan and Susan, Corinne, good morning. Hi, Julie. Tara, hi. If I missed anyone, my apologies. Let's take a breath, sing a blessing, learn some Torah. Here we go. La 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 במצוותיו ציוונו לעשות בדברי תורה, לעשות בדברי תורה, הפוך בה והפוך בה, לעשות בדברי תורה. Hi, everybody. Excited to learn Torah with you. Today I have, and I'm assuming many of us have, such pent-up nervous energy. Word has come that the negotiations between Hamas and Israel, with support from other nations, has reached a final stage for the first stage of a hostage release ceasefire agreement. And I can't breathe. And if I can't breathe, I can't imagine how the families of hostages are feeling. The government in Israel, for all of its diversity, has been very complicated on this. And I'm not quite sure how to read the politics, and this isn't the place for it. But on the 466th day that our family is Enenu, our family is not with us. Our family is not whole. I ask you to pray with me that nothing should get in the way of this first stage of release happening. There is Torah to learn, there is work to do, there is love to share, there's a lot of, quote, normal things, just normal life that we have to do and we've been doing, and somehow we've made it this far. But for us to have made it this far, and for us to struggle the way that we have, I cannot imagine what it has been like to be one of our sisters and brothers, our grandparents, our babies. I am praying from the depth of my soul, and I ask you to join with me in that prayer to bring them home now. If all I say over and over, if all we say over and over today, as we have for the last 466 days, is bring them home now. Dayenu. So even though I haven't even mentioned what Parsha it is, this is what we're called to do right now. So before I say the name of the Parsha, before I look at some words with you, pray. Pray right now for our family to come home, for nothing to get in the way, for the ability for some of our lost loved ones to heal, the ability for some of our lost loved ones to be treated with final kindness and buried at home. This is a hard day, especially for the families of the hostages. It is a hard day. So pray for their hearts too. Pray for the hearts of those who, please God, will have their loved ones in their hands. And pray for the families of those who won't yet. When we say bring them home now, we mean bring them all home now. We have a lot of healing ahead, friends, and we are up to that task. And I know I can say with deep confidence that UJA has been planning strategically through all of this for the now and for the later. We are in this with you for the long haul. This is a moment for prayer. So even if you don't usually pray, and even if the way that you pray is not in Hebrew, and even if you're Jewish, and even if you're not, this is an issue of humanity. So please, friends, dig down deep and just say with me, from the core of you to the core of the universe, bring them home now. Now, this might be the right parsha for all of this emotionality, because Parshat Shemot, the very first Torah portion in the book of Exodus, is filled with anxiety, with confusion, and with God and not enough God, and freedom, but it took too long. The themes in this week's Parsha align with what's in the air right now. Because here we are, a people that has been enslaved gradually over time. We are a subpopulation, as modern sociologists would call it, in ancient Egypt. A new king arises, Vayakom melech hadash, asher lo yada et Yosef. A new king arises who refuses to recognize who Joseph was and what Joseph's family represents, which is humanity. And he says, Hava nitchakma, let's be clever in the way we dehumanize them. We'll make their lives hard. We'll tell them the kind of work they cannot do. We'll take things from them one at a time. And it reminds so many of us about encroaching fascism, where the voices of people are taken away. The right to assemble is taken away. Truth matters less. Propaganda begins to take over. This is true in the book of Exodus. It is true, of course, in Nazi Germany. It is true in some ways all over the world right now, where the beginnings of fascism and the beginnings of populism and the deterioration of truth has taken hold in so many ways. We must be vigilant against this, just as eventually God says. But that eventually is an important thing to notice. Because Pharaoh doesn't say, let's enslave them. Pharaoh says, let's be clever. And little by little, the Israelites are enslaved, not all at once. And those stages of enslavement require so much undoing, both on the outside and the inside, because eventually the Israelites will be taken out of Egypt. But taking Egypt out of the Israelites is another thing altogether. So when 400 years into being in Egypt, finally God hears the cries. 400 years in. We've been counting 466 days. 400 years. And we forgot how to be free, so much so that when Moses, who is raised in Pharaoh's palace, goes on the hero's journey and encounters God at the burning bush, God says, "Go, I've heard the groans of my people." There would be a legitimate response from the people saying, "What took you so long?" But Moses' confusion is along these lines. Moses says, "But who are you? What is your name? How will I tell you? How will I tell them who you are? What shall I call you?" Which is strange, of course, because theoretically, God's name would have been known. It's hard to forget God's name. And God's answer is not just cryptic. You can even find sometimes in translations that God's self-revelation in 3 words to Moses at the burning bush is not translated on the English side or French or whatever language you're looking at. Often, God's answer, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, is offered on the translation side also as Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. Now I can translate it, but not really. As Chaim Nachman Bialik famously said, and I quote this all the time, learning Torah in translation is like kissing through a veil. It's hard to know, actually, what is being said in the Torah if all we have is translation. But God says to Moses' question, Moses says, "How will they know that I'm really representing you? What should I call you?" He says to God, and God responds, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. One translation is, "I will be what I will be." If you remember the 10 Commandments, the movie, God says, "I am that I am." But we don't really know what any of this means. I will be what I will be? What could that possibly mean? What does it mean? I will be what I will be. Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. For me, it means many things. And in fact, I think it's meant to mean many things. God is not a static thing. God is no thing. God is beyond things. If you can point to it, it's not God. God is a dynamic force, please God, for good. And so when we look at the Parsha and we study biblical history, even though it's mythic history, we can call it that, what took God so long? Why 400 years? According to some 290 years of enslavement after 110 years of residency. What took you so long, God? Well, maybe it took Moses a long time to get to the burning bush. Maybe this had been happening and good people didn't speak up. We know what that looks like. Next week will mark Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in America. And he said, all that's required for evil to take hold in a society is the silence of good people. Well, for 400 years, it's not only a question of where was God, it's also a question of, as Elie Wiesel famously said, where was man? And so, what I'd like to do, friends, is not offer any resolution here. Moses is confused about the God that has finally heard the groans of enslaved people. I'm confused. I'm confused about 466 years, 466 days of captivity. I'm confused about God. I'm confused about people. All I know is that we are supposed to be steady in our pursuit of freedom and dignity for all people, including our own family. God, who are you? Says Moses. Ehyeh asher ehyeh. I'll be what I'll be. Maybe that means I will be what I will be as revealed by you. Maybe the divine that courses through the universe and through us is waiting to be activated by the angels of our better nature. Maybe this is how people act and why spirituality and tradition are so important. Because the pursuit of God might actually be best understood as the pursuit of our best selves. But really, this is all theological speculation, and I just want our babies home. I want our grandparents home. As Achad Ha'am Asher Ginsburg said in his pursuit of what we now call cultural Zionism, he said, we just want the right to live and die on our own terms. Really, that's all we want. So for all of the lofty speculation and the wonderful theological work, for all the mythic dimensions of Torah, and the kind of story that we know is coming, miraculous deliverance, why does it take so long? Why does it take so long for our children to be safe? So when we say bring them home now, and I call that a prayer, I invite us to think, friends, about where we're aiming that prayer. Because actually, if Ehyeh asher ehyeh means I will be what I will be through you, as you activate the best parts of yourself, which is me, which is infinite, which is light, which is love, which is healing, which is safety. As you activate those parts of yourself, that's when you'll see me. So friends, again, I invite you, before we sing Hatikvah, before we do anything else with our energy, pray with me. Pray. Say it out loud, please. Bring them home now. Bring them home now. Call it out to our leaders. Call it out to the universe. Call it out to God. Call it out within your own soul. Let it ring. May nothing get in the way of our family coming home. Bring them home now. Let's send our hearts to the east. Our broken, whole hearts to the east. Praying for the chance to begin the healing now. Kol hod balevav פנימה, נפש יהודי הומייה, ולפתי מזרח קדימה, עין לציון צופיה. עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, friends.